What do a trolley, a British game show, and a tower of mad bricks have to do with finding a new way to overcome obstacles? More than you might think. My name is Michael Leone. Now, let's tap back in together. I am obsessed with the show Taskmaster. If you aren't familiar, it's a British game show where comedians from around the world are challenged to complete outrageous tasks. It's as hilarious as it is inventive. They are currently in their 21st season, and you can find each and every episode right here on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description. Be sure to check it out. Anyways, in season 20, episode 9, there is a challenge to build the tallest structure on a wagon. Well, it's British, so they call it a trolley. Anyways, one of the contestants builds this tall tower out of cinder blocks and proceeds to push it up a hill. The next part of the challenge is to push it so that it goes down the hill and crosses the finish line, tower intact. And they have to yell the whole time it's rolling down the hill. Yeah, it's odd, but I promise there's a payoff. So Reece, the contestant and comedian, gives his brick-based tower a mighty push as he begins to yell. His contraption starts rolling and picking up speed with every revolution of the wheels, and it topples over. He has to start again before time runs out. Now, pause. How would you respond? Imagine you're being seen by over 1 million YouTube subscribers and being featured on television internationally via the BBC. The whole world will see your failure. Would you smile? Would you laugh? More than likely, like me, you might unintentionally bellow a few choice expletives or creative metaphors. But that's not what Reece did. He calmly, almost matter-of-factly said, "Right, so that tells us something." And then began again. How often in life, when faced with an unexpected event, failure, or just someone cutting us off in traffic, do we lose our minds as our blood pressures rise and the fight or flight or flee process kicks in as our brains are hijacked by our amygdala and we start to see red? When we do this, when we actively give up control to anger, frustration, or even self-pity, we tap out of life. So, how do we tap back in? We need to tap into our inner Reece. We need to say out loud or to ourselves, "Right, so that tells us something." And then continue with the task at hand. What Reece did has a name. It's called cognitive reappraisal. And instead of reacting, he reframed his failure as data. And that simple shift lowers stress and improves performance. Often, it feels like in life, as on the show Taskmaster, there is someone pulling the strings. Perhaps we feel challenged unexpectedly. Perhaps an illness pops up, a death, or a tax audit. It could be anything. But these challenges are viewed as problems or inconveniences. What if we took a lesson from this British show and this comedian and viewed them as tasks to complete, and take any perceived affronts to our solving them not as problems, but as information that can be used to inform the next action and find the next solution. Research shows that people who treat failure as information instead of identity are far more likely to keep going. Same event, different interpretation, completely different outcome. You may not solve it in the next attempt or the next 10 attempts, but you can choose to say, "Right, so that tells us something," and smile, find the lesson, and move forward. My name is Michael Leone, and you've just tapped back in.